Ooh.
We're actually seeing this.
Is this?
Ew! This is so awesome.
Is this what haggis is?
Why is there a stormtrooper?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Because there's no oxygen in there. Yeah. That's awesome.
This is like the reverse of in scuba movies when they share their oxygen with their loved one to keep them alive.
It's straight. No, you're going to roll back into the Sarlacc. Right. All right. Cool. Nice.
Oh, yucky.
Oh, I love we see the wreckage of the pleasure yacht. Oh, is that a tendril of the... This is awesome. This has been playing in my headcanon for years.
I can't believe we get to see this stuff now. Like, we get these questions answered for us.
Answering it right away.
Oh, my God. Dave Filoni, thank you.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. Boba Fett's long, mysterious escape from the belly of the Sarlacc and Return of the Jedi is finally revealed with just a little puff of breath from a digested stormtrooper and a blast of a flamethrower, and here we are. I mean, after all this, who can blame our Beskar-covered absolute unit for double dipping in that bacta tank, especially if it stuffs our stockings with prequel flashbacks? And who are those proud moisture farmer raiders? What was their gang sign? Was it Orabesh for wet bandits? We'll find out this episode as we ask, what the Fett?
We're gonna get that by the end of this year. We're gonna be lockstep in what the Fets.
Oh yeah, no daylight. This is Wookieeleaks, our New Rockstars Book of Boba Fett after show, and our weekly reaction to the latest in Star Wars. I'm Eric Voss. My Easter egg breakdown for this episode is coming tomorrow, but right now I'm here reacting to this episode with Tommy Bechtold.
That's
Tommy,
right.
thoughts?
But just like my new favorite character of all time, Boba Fett, my clothes will continue to fit me a little bit worse and worse as the season goes on. It's going to be great. They should call him Boba Fett.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that guy he's looking great.
I
think
awesome.
Tamora Morrison's just like, get me back to that bacta tank. I want to take off my shirt so I can just show everyone my progress.
No
This guy's got a lot to be proud of. What a badass.
I think he's what we call jacked. He's jacked.
That is textbook jacked.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, that's just like when people share these photos of Joe Rogan jacked. That's like it's like a taller Rogan, right?
Joe Rogan looks like a thumb that someone put whiskers on with a Sharpie.
That's the kind of commentary you can expect this season on the Book of Boba Fett after show with Tommy and Eric. We have so much to talk about. I mean, hey, this episode, kind of a sleeper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, didn't move the needle forward too much, but like it was like a nice palate cleanser after a year of breathless exposition from all these Marvel Disney Plus shows that are trying to tell like 3 to 4 different storylines. God bless these shows. But like here, it just reminded us of that first episode of The Mandalorian, but up until we found out that the child Grogu was going to be in that series. Remember that feeling where it just felt like an explorative Western kind of wandery show, and there was this nice feeling where we thought this might not really connect to anything too much, and that's almost how this episode feels. I mean, we forget once Grogu entered our lives, everything changed, right? You know, it was so exciting. We couldn't imagine what life was like before that, but for 41 minutes on that first episode of Book of Boba Fett, that's kind of what this feels now. If you found this a little slow or boring, I hear you, but I kind of just like just hanging out in the desert with Favreau, Robert Rodriguez, and Tamora Morrison, all scored no Ludwig Göransson. I very much enjoyed this.
Yes, I agree. It had a very martial arts movie feel to me, which obviously I know George Lucas was heavily influenced by, when he was making the original trilogy. So I just like there were several kind of boss battle fight scenes. They were really kind of well paced. They didn't seem unrealistic for an older Boba Fett. Like he seemed like he took enough damage. He wasn't like, as my nephew calls, he wasn't OP. He wasn't OP, Eric. Okay, that's what the kids say. Oh, he wasn't overpowered.
Let's remind ourselves everything that happened this episode. So after dethroning Bib Fortuna in Jabba the Hutt's palace during the Mandalorian Season 2 finale, Boba Fett's bacta tank bath triggers some memories. We saw Kamino in the Geonosis arena from Attack of the Clones the moment he picked up Jango Fett's helmet, as well as we got his sickening escape from the belly of the Sarlacc after Return of the Jedi. I didn't know if this show was going to address it, and boy, they addressed it right away. It was everything we wanted wanted it to be.
Smell
and
that
more.
scene, Eric. You could smell that scene.
I love the little details of just making it pitch black, because of course it would be inside. There's no light source inside a beast's belly, so he has to use, of course, his antenna light. There's no oxygen, so he has to use the stormtrooper. So he wakes up like on his last breath. This is literally moments later after he gets devoured, and there's just little things, like we don't see the beak of the Sarlacc as he crawls out of the pit, because that was added later during the re-release. So all we really got was just from the original version of Return of the Jedi, just the pit with the fangs sticking out of the sand, and you see one tendril laying off to the side, so he killed that thing as he clawed out of it, as he would have if that's how he escaped.
Absolutely.
So much about that was so great, and I was scouring that wreckage for any sign of who might be on there, who might have died. Hey, Max Rebo, still alive.
Got it.
Wasn't that great to see that guy back?
He's on tour, guys. He's on tour.
Hopefully Omicron doesn't shut everything down again, because man, you gotta see this guy live to really appreciate it.
Max Rebo is quadruple vaccinated. He's vaxxed to the max. All right, don't worry about that.
Right into the trunk. As Boba Fett lays in the sand, he gets scavenged by Jawas, and we know that same armor ended up on the sand crawler where Cobb Vanth was able to get it, and then he gets taken slave by some Tusken raiders. And then we jump to the present, when he takes tribute from all these Mos Espa leaders alongside Fennec Shand, and includes a representative of the mayor, played by our improv buddy Dave Pasquesi. He's not our improv buddy. Awesome. He's like improv legend that we worship.
I shook hands with him at a wedding once, Eric. We're practically best friends.
I believe Philip and I drove down to Sarasota, Florida to watch him and TJ Jagodowski do a two-man show.
My God,
and we all took a picture with him. So there's some picture of all of us somewhere where I'm randomly bent over crouching. This representative, it's already a slight the mayor didn't come in person, and he demands tribute from Boba Fett. So already we're getting a sense of a bit of a power rivalry here that will probably become important as the series goes on. So then Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, after basically showing mercy to these Gamorreans, a decision that pays off in dividends later on, they visit the town of Mos Espa to visit the sanctuary cantina of Garsif Whip, played by Jennifer Beals, a Twi'lek ruler of this establishment. They rock out to some tunes from Max Rebo and Fergan Dunn from the band, and they were playing a version of the cantina music, but like a cool like Spanish guitar version of it.
I loved it.
Awesome to listen to. Yeah,
that was great.
And then afterwards, on the other side, outside of the place, they get ambushed by some assassins. But the fact that Boba showed this mercy to the Gamorreans, they jump in. These guys kick some ass. Awesome to see the Gamorreans be like useful, in a Star Wars thing. We got a sense of the Mandalorian season 2 premiere where they were sparring in a ring. So I'd love just seeing everyone has a reason for surviving on the show. They aren't just like background goofballs. Like they're actually fearsome and skilled as they would be in this world. So Fennec parkours after them. That was fun.
That's all I thought. I just was like, someone's gonna put a picture of Andy, Dwight, and Michael Scott leaping around with this scene.
Yeah, when she kicks that one off the roof, he just fell right into a dumpster.
Oh yeah,
with Michael Scott. But she captures the last of one of those guys, and I assume we'll see his interrogation next episode. But instead we go back to the flashback where Boba and his Rodian co-prisoner go to this moisture farm, and they see these mysterious group of raiders who put this weird gang sign on the side of the side of the moisture farm. A moisture farm that looks a lot like the Lars homestead, but I guess a lot of them probably look like that.
Sure.
They're all just pretty functional and practical. In this area, they have to dig for water in the sand, and then the Rodian uncovers this 6-limbed beast, Goro badass.
Yeah.
I tried to find exactly what this is. I'm not sure as of this taping exactly what this beast is, but then he strangles it, and he wins the respect of this Tusken tribe, and that's where we leave this episode. But the question we're going to dig into, like we're trying to find some precious water in the desert, was who was that gang of Niktos that Boba witnessed raiding the moisture farm? What was the significance of that logo that they tagged on the home? We have some theories that are probably going to be wrong, but we're going to talk about them anyway. Before we get to that, our merch partners at Epic Hero Shop have just dropped their newest shirt in the latest Obsession series inspired by the Book of Boba Fett. It is called The Hunter. It looks awesome. Features a legendary bounty hunter, Boba Fett. This shirt is number 12 in the latest Obsession series. It started with this old gem, This Is the Way, back like 20 years ago. And it's going to be sold out real fast. And once it is, it's going to be gone for good. Comes in a variety of colors and sizes. And when you grab a latest Obsession shirt, you will get the added option to write in a custom shout out that will appear along the bottom of these Book of Boba Fett after shows. So get on that and check out that shirt, plus all of our awesome merch options, including my favorite shirt we've released this year, Strange Entanglement, inspired by Spider-Man No Way Home. Get your hands on that for sure. Get all these, though, at newrockstarsmerch.com. All right, Tommy, what was our first question coming out of this episode?
Oh, Eric, so many questions. But coming up first, who the Fett were the Tatooine Raiders, and what does their symbol mean?
Yeah, was it just a symbol, or was the guy just like trying to get the solid chunks out of that spray paint?
Yeah, maybe.
So just kind of spraying some skid marks.
Yeah,
and we're reading into it. We're like, what is this language?
Us reading into something? Never. What does it mean?
During Boba Fett's time as his slave with the Tusken tribe, they witness his band of raiders attacking a moisture farm. And yeah, it does look a lot like the Lars homestead that Luke Skywalker grew up on. This was later attacked by stormtroopers in A New Hope, where, you know, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru were left as charred skeletons. One of the most violent things we have ever seen in a Star Wars movie. And I'm always hoping they get back to that level of violence. But then this farm gets revisited by Rey at the end of the Rise of Skywalker in this scene everyone loves. But we have to assume that most Tatooine moisture farms look like this. I don't think this is specifically definitely the Lars homestead, but I just think it's just kind of a fun set piece to go back and revisit. We know from Cobb Vanth in the Mandalorian Season 2 premiere that literally moments after the Empire's defeat during the Battle of Endor in Return of the Jedi, there's a group called the Mining Collective that swept into Tatooine towns like Mos Pelgo, and in the aftermath of Jabba's death, you got Bib Fortuna taking over his operation. So there are various criminal elements that are very much in operation on the planet. The group that Boba Fett saw wore these metallic helmets, but they were not the signature blue helmets of the Mining Collective that Cobb Vanth had to deal with. These guys looked to be Niktos. Niktos are the horn-faced dudes. They have scaly flesh. They're either green or they have a red-orange color to them. And you'll remember that in Chapter 10 of Season 2 in The Mandalorian, Din Djarin and Grogu, as they were speeding off with Boba Fett's army, they ran into a group of thieves. One of them was a Nikto. But you also have to remember that the Niktos were the primary race of the group that, in the very first episode of The Mandalorian, these were the guys who were holding on to Grogu on Arvala 7. Now, obviously, not every group of Nikto criminals in the Star Wars universe must be associated with each other. It's just like saying every Rodian must all be after the same thing. Right. That's not what we're saying here. This could just be a costume that Favreau's wardrobe department has a lot of. So anytime they have to put in some criminal element, they're like, I'll make costumes.
You get a Nikto, you get a Nikto, you get a Nikto.
Check under your seats, you get a Nikto. And then the Nikto write a strongly worded tweet, and then we have to be a bit more careful about how we
hashtag
Star Wars
Nikto gonna generalize anymore. No, it'll be better than that. We'll work on it. It's a work in progress.
We got time to improve. I value your first draft. Thanks, Tommy. Your first draft. Eric. I don't want a second draft of your bits. I want raw Bechtold.
You always know not to judge me because God's not finished with me yet.
I was trying to figure out what that symbol is, right? It looks like a J and an L in English, of course. But if you were to merge both of these shapes into one character, that was just a little bit of daylight between the halves of it, it does resemble, at least, the Aurebesh letter T. If it is, I would love if these guys work for Thrawn, especially since Ahsoka Tano is looking for that guy, the great Lars Mikkelsen villain from Star Wars Rebels, who is now coming back in live action. That's in Ahsoka Tano's episode in The Mandalorian. She's looking for Thrawn. And he was last seen with Ezra Bridger, disappearing with the Purgle space whales into hyperspace at the end of their arc of Star Wars Rebels. The counter argument to that, I don't know if a fancy pants Chiss Admiral would end up leading a gang of dirty water thieves on Tatooine. I don't know why he would care about that, but who knows what is in store for the future of this character, where he has to kind of pick up the scraps now. We also don't know if that letter is even a T. It could just stand for time to move on to a new theory. Or maybe Tommy time, because Tommy, I want to ask you, we have this mysterious gang with their curious symbol. We have a gang of assassins who attacked Boba Fett and Fennec Shand and Mos Espa whom we're about to learn a lot more about. And we have that mayor of Mos Espa who clearly poses a threat to Boba Fett. Are all of these groups connected? Are they all after something different? Or are they just going to be warring factions on various sides of Boba Fett? And it seems like there's going to be some big Star Wars secret being hidden with that symbol. So what do you think it is? And what do you think is going to be Boba's biggest threat?
Let me answer in order. I don't think those groups are connected. I think the groups in Mos Espa, I think the assailants in Mos Espa are a secret police working for the mayor. I think they were hired guns by the mayor, like a gang. I'm thinking the mayor is going to be someone who is obviously like a crime lord as well. Like mayor is a title, but they're just another crime lord. So I don't think they're connected. I think the raiders and the moisture farm are part of something bigger, part of another force that's heading to Tatooine or is already establishing contact in Tatooine. And I'm not even 100% sure that the moisture is what they were looking for. You know what I mean? Like that might be a reward because everyone's thirsty on that planet because it looks like it's basically Arizona. So, you need a drink. But I wonder if there was something in that house that we're going to find out it was more important. Perhaps a remnant from a Kenobi or a remnant from Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, even if it's not the same house. Maybe there's something that was hidden there. Owen and Beru weren't stupid. They were just weary of the ways of the Jedi and the Force and all that. So
if anything, they were the smartest characters in that movie, wanting to stay out of all that.
So my question is, did they kind of disperse, relics from their family throughout Tatooine? And is this a bit of a treasure hunt or a race to find, some sort of Jedi or Sith or Force empowered secrets? That's I know that's kind of me dancing around, but it's the season premiere, Eric. I can't give you answers in the season premiere. Right. Otherwise, there's no reason to watch.
It's fine.
Stop yelling at me.
Exactly. We need to cast our nets far and wide.
Yes, exactly.
And I am with you. I hope there's some kind of Avengers compound watch that is hidden somewhere on some Tatooine moisture farm.
I agree.
That this weird spray paint gang is looking for.
Yes.
But no, I think you're right. I think there's going to be a couple different villains, a couple different threats, and obviously the mayor of Mos Espa, Mokshaz, whatever, is going to be one threat. I believe we saw that character in trailers. I might be wrong, but I think you're right. I think these assassins were probably hired by this mayor, and I think this other gang is going to be some other kind of rival threat, a rural threat to the mayor's urban threat.
A rural jurors.
And I think that rural threat on the horizon, these rural jurors are going to declare a mistrial on your ass if you cross them, and I'm more worried about them. But I'm excited to see where this goes, absolutely. But I wanted to ask you, there was this moment where they mentioned needing a protocol droid. Yeah. We don't know where C-3PO is in the universe right now. We think he's working with the New Republic, with Leia Organa, maybe with Han Solo somewhere.
Yes.
Maybe somewhere on Chandrilla, right? But could the protocol droid that Boba Fett mentioned end up being C-3PO in this series?
Well, it's not going to be Ray Bloody Purchase. We know that. It's certainly not. Shout out to Matt Berry for doing a wonderful job as the droid.
I know Matt Berry's voice.
I was like, I know that voice.
AD8 was his name. I wanted.
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. It was I was like, God, this is perfect. I hope he's in every episode because Matt Berry is my favorite.
What I wanted was that droid to just pull a toothpick out of his mouth, and then he just transforms back into Matt Berry, and we all lose our minds.
Yeah, Bat droid. I go by the name Jackie Daytona now.
For the good Matt Berry.
For the thank you. It's the only impression I can do. Him and John Madden, rest in peace. Boom. So the I can't do it anymore. So the protocol droid, why not be C-3PO? That guy's had his memory wiped more than Charlie Sheen. So it's like, we might as well have it be C-3PO for one last dance, a familiar face, or an opportunity to bring in a new protocol droid that's just kind of fun, another maybe, like, are they all sassy British butlers? Like, what are all protocol droids, do they all have the toot of C-3PO or what? So I
think they all kind of have that attitude, right? You have K2SO, you have Phoebe Waller-Bridges character,
right?
Now the Millennium Falcon, I think. Right? Is she the CPU
L
of the
something
Millennium Falcon?
L7 L7 weenie.
Yeah. L338.
Yes, that's what it was.
L337. Yeah.
Droid rights forever. Droid rights forever, and then she was killed and put in a spaceship. She was permanently imprisoned inside a starship.
Well, we'll see who this protocol droid is. I don't have a problem with him just sticking with Matt Berry as 88 because he's standing right there. He can just be like, I could try to learn a few extra languages.
Right.
If you just let me go to night school.
Absolutely.
I can train this position.
I could get my VCR repair degree online now in just under 3 weeks.
All right, I wanted to ask you, we spent a lot of time with Boba Fett in the Back to Pod.
Yes.
Right? So what does that tell us about his overall health, his state of mind? I honestly thought we were going to spend a lot of this episode in the Back to Pod.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a lot of flashbacks. And I thought if we just go back to specific moments in the prequels, I would love if one of those flashbacks could have been his duel with Cad Bane that explains the dent in his helmet.
Yes.
We'll see if we go there. But why do you think he needs to go so much into the Back to Pod? And am I being too hard on him?
No.
Would we all just spend all of our time in a Back to Pod if we could?
I mean, but that's my question. I'm wondering if this is one to show us that Boba is very, very, very in tune with his physical health, or is it that where he knows, especially as a clone, even though he was a clone that was designed to age normally, not rapidly, does he still have, somewhat of a weakened constitution, or is it a thing like many of us have, where the Bacta is a source of soothing for him? You know what I mean? Like a mental thing. So he, when he needs to kind of regroup and reset, is he slightly addicted to the healing properties of the Bacta tank? Is it more mental for him? And is that a weakness? Are we getting a character weakness portrayed by Boba's dependency on the Bacta tank?
Or a character strength. Like, think of it this way. It's a bit meditative for him.
Right.
And it gives him some peace of mind so that he can reflect back on these crucial moments in his life.
Sure.
I think it kind of reminds him of his journey. And so he likes to go back there to kind of ground him, to set him straight.
Right.
I like that aspect of it, not just because it gives us an excuse to revisit these moments from the prequels and maybe some other new history that they'll give us, but... And
Eric, that's just indicative of you and I. You're all about self-care and taking care of yourself, and I'm all about that grind and hustle. He's spending too much time in that Bacta tank, not enough time at garage sales, buying cuckoo clocks from old ladies and reselling them on eBay.
You could make a lot of money that way.
Yeah, you can spend your life in a Bacta tank, or you can hustle.
Hey, I think that's going to be a new meme coming out of this show. I think football players are going to limp off the field and be like, get me back to the Bacta tank. That's going to be... We're all going to wish we had that in our lives. Watching The Matrix Resurrections, I was like, man, even if they didn't program my mind with the false reality, I would just love to just gestate in a pot of goo and just kind of fade away.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the rest of my life. I think that there's a version of me that's my best life.
2021 made goo boys out of all of us, Eric. It's no shame in that.
I was born a goo boy. I didn't realize I could be a dry boy until I was a man.
Is your ally? I was born in the goo. You merely trained in the goo. I was raised in it.
Molded by it. Well, we're in Mos Espa on Tatooine, one of my favorite settings, and this is where we spent a lot of time in the Phantom Menace. So do you think we could actually see some Phantom Menace callbacks, like your boy Watto, as you joked about last week, or even Sebulba, maybe Kitster, Anakin Skywalker's friend, who in expanded literature, I believe, does meet up with Han and Leia at some point as an adult on Tatooine. Could we see pod racing again in the Star Wars universe?
You know what? Maybe people are going to be a little bit critical of me for saying this. God, I hope not. I'm fine with revisiting Watto and Sebulba, but I'm cool with no more pod racing. I think we have enough cool vehicles moving around. Yeah, the pod racing.
I love pod racing. I rewatched Phantom Menace recently. The pod racing slaps. I'm all on board with just that
I like
scene.
the pod racing
my favorite part of that
scene, but I'm done with it. I'm over. I'm pod raced out. I'm ready for something new. You know, what was that game of ball those kids were talking about? Remember when they said we're going to go play ball and never mentioned they were like George Lucas wasn't like, let me specify or name a new space game. He was like, the kids play a game called ball here on Tatooine. So maybe we'll see some of that.
We revisit. We learn the rules of ball. There's a whole episode where Boba Fett just plays ball.
There's that classroom that we saw in Mandalorian season 2, but just a Tatooine version of that. Yeah. And it's just a very, very scary looking gym teacher explaining ball to a bunch of young children.
Well, speaking of that moment, seeing Grogu in the classroom was a delight last season on The Mandalorian. So I want to ask you for this show, based off of this first episode, where you think it's going. Are we talking Grogu? We talking No-Goo this season? I think a child will appear.
There was nothing about that first episode that made me believe strongly that Grogu is going to appear. I think this is an not independent, but this is a storyline that does not necessitate it. And I like that. I would like if they made us wait for the return of Grogu to really build it up and make it mean something, rather than just kind of immediately bring him back into our lives.
Agreed. I think we don't need Grogu right now. I think this is your chance to prove that those first 2 acts of the Mandalorian pilot episode could have worked on its own. I know there's a lot of fans of this show or people watching this show who might disagree with that, who need a bit more Star Wars lore. But I'm telling you, you just got Boba Fett's escape from the Sarlacc in the opening minutes of this episode. Are you not pleased?
Are you not entertained?
That is incredible. That is a high that I will not ever come down from, seeing that displayed, and it is so well depicted. I don't care if he's just wandering Maximus Aurelius style through the desert, being dragged behind some banthas. I could just watch that forever.
That's so funny that you said that. So that was my exact mental comparison. Was like, this is like Gladiator.
Yeah. There's a lot of good happening right now, and I assume at some point it will strongly connect to Star Wars canon, and we'll probably have some character come back. But for right now, I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying seeing Boba Fett's change of perspective, right?
Yes.
How he came from this hardened warrior who trusted no one to having to teach others the value of cooperation and being able to trust each other, especially trying to explain that to criminals and mercenaries, people who were the most like him. And I like that we're flashing back to his time with the Tuskens. Like, we're not just writing that off. There was a reason why we saw him with the gaffy stick, in Mandalorian episode 9. And I was curious why he was dressed up with Tusken Raider gear. And now we're actually spending time with him, with that tribe. I love it. I like that choice. But so far, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying just being on this ride with you, Tommy.
Eric,
I don't have to theorize too much about where things are going. I can just appreciate it.
Yes, me too.
I'm having fun already. I can't wait to spend the first 6 to 7 weeks of the new year doing this with you, Tommy. We're going to be back every week, even when there's no Boba Fett. Tommy and I are going to be back talking Star Wars with you guys every week. And my breakdown of the episode, all the Easter eggs, is coming out tomorrow. And then Chapter 2 of Boba Fett's going to be back next week. Don't forget to check out our many great merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me at EA Voss. Follow Tommy at Tommy Bechtold. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to Wookieeleaks on podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for watching, and we have spoken. See you next week. Bye-bye.